Hey all, Steve from GuitarNiche here. Today we're going to look at how to set a 2-point Strat tremolo system bridge plate flush. The idea being that if we get the bridge flush, then we can work with the saddles and make everything nice and neat after that, okay? So, first thing I did was I've done my initial cleanup and stuff. Oh, by the way, this is a 2010 American Stratocaster Deluxe with a V-neck, S1 system, noiseless pickups, locking tuners, a whole bunch of lovely stuff going on here. But at this point, I've just installed the strings. They're nowhere near tension or anything like that. Moreover, I only have 2 springs in the back. The idea being, I want to minimize any effect or any degradation against the fulcrum screws, you know. So, how do we get this thing absolutely level? Okay, here's the process. What we're going to need is a slotted screwdriver, okay, flathead if you would, something that matches the screw head as close as possible. Okay, that's a key. If it's too big, you're gonna be grinding in the strings. Too small, you're gonna leave marks. The arm, because we're gonna test for stability in the back or level, okay, and a piece of paper. Now in this case, we have actually just a leftover string package from a set of strings, and I measured it as 0.004 inches. It could be just a regular old piece of paper, anything that is consistent. Simple as that. Okay, so where do we go from here? Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see, okay, if you can hear this, at some point, there, I drive that screw in and then I bring it back up, and there's a point at which bringing it up doesn't make any difference, but driving it back down, it starts to tip, it starts to plaster the front edge of the bridge plate towards the body. Now if I do the same on the bass side, you'll hear the same thing. So I know that this is the absolute lowest point where the front edge of the bridge plate is flush with the body. But I don't want that necessarily sitting flush with the plane of the body, because what will happen is the bridge plate will start to chatter. Why? Because in this instance, the owner wants the bridge to be semi-hardtail. In other words, he doesn't want it floating, so the back edge of the bridge is going to be on the body. If this is set totally flush with the body, it will literally chatter as you play it, because once everything's balanced, you'll get this sort of weird kind of resonant buzzing happening at the bridge. So what we're going to try to do is get that leading edge of the bridge plate to tip up just a little bit. So I will do that. I'll do about a quarter turn. Just taking a visual and turning the screw about 90 degrees to that. So now I know the front edge of the plate is lifted up off the body. And what that will do again is it's gonna help reduce the potential for chatter. The total elimination of chatter is going to be in combination with the tension of the springs in the back. Okay, if it does chatter, I just wind up the tremolo springs a little bit until it stabilizes, and we can still dip it a little bit and we're good to go. But the point of this video is to see if we have our plate level. Now normally just doing that should be good enough, but I want to double check. Okay, and see what's going on here, because The back edge of the plate is what's going to be resting on the body, and we want it to be as flush as possible. And you'll notice that we got a little bit more bite on the treble side, so I'm going to see if I can just tweak that a little bit. Treble side up, bass side down just a hair. Oh, that's great. Just like that. Just like that. Okay? So both sides, both corners here, where any distortion from forming this plate is going to happen at the ends, at the extreme ends typically. Okay? And I'm feeling similar resistance. If anything, I'm going to pull that up just a hair. Great. Super duper. And to double check, get that under there. Look at that. Okay, that pulls out, not like this, not like this, but full back, okay? There's no, like the pressure from each side is perfect. Okay, anyway. So, now I know that the bridge is absolutely in line with the plane of the body. The front leading edge is tipped up a little bit, so I can control the back edge. In fact, if you wanted it floating, it would be super easy. As long as these points don't move, everything's just in perfect alignment. Anyway, I've got the strings at pitch. I've got 4 springs in there. That's what was in there. That seems to be working just dandy. I'm not going to question it. By the way, I'll just make a comment. I've done so many Strats in the past, I can't tell you. But there's a certain distance with the claw plate at the back edge that I always look for. Of course, the spring tension, will have something to do with that in terms of the quality of springs, whether it's soft, hard, medium, whatever. But I try to look for some wiggle room. We want to have some wiggle room here. We want to have a balance of things. We want to have a balance of things. Always, always, always balance. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So, I've got the 4 springs in. I've got it tuned up to pitch. And it's not chattering as I mentioned, but that's not back against the body. So what I'm going to do is tighten up those springs just a hair. I would say that is about 5/16, 3/8, back edge, claw plate, or so, okay? That's a beautiful thing. Now, just as important, we have full elasticity in the strings. Now, I know that the intonation and stuff will need minor adjustment. String height is good. I've already looked at it. So whatever is going on here is very, very minor. And what I'm trying to get at here is I'm going to stretch the strings a little bit because they are still elastic, and this affects how the whole system floats, and it's all about pressure and stuff like that. Fresh strings are like rubber bands. They're very, very much like rubber bands, and we want to get the materials in the strings to reach their tensile. Instead of being kind of like amorphous like this, we want to get them to stretch, get all these break points worked in, etc., just preliminary and stuff. So I'm going to give each string a little bit of a stretch. What that translates to is the strings, when they're absolutely fresh, have a certain amount of pressure between the tuners and the bridge. When you stretch them, that amount of pressure increases fractionally, but it's enough to offset or disturb or you have to recalibrate your setup. In other words, strings that are fully stretched are stable. They have their full lifespan ahead of them, and they have their nominal maximum playability at the best possible tension. As they age, they will start to increase, the tension will increase, and the whole balance of the instrument will start to wander a little bit. There's food for thought. Anyway, so on with the show. Good. That's good and stable. Now I'm going to double check, make sure that whatever's going on back here is still in line. My handy dandy screwdriver. I'm going to give that bass side just a little bit of a tweak. That was like just a couple degrees of a turn. Great, super. That was a really, that was great. It pulled out evenly. And I'll check this, finally, I'll check this in a sitting position to make sure that it's not, out of whack. And I will give this one final security torque in the back to make sure that we do not get any chatter. That was about a quarter turn each screw. And that, as they say, is that. And that dips real easy. That's great. That's super. So this is a semi, what we would call it, a semi hardtail, fully functional in terms of being able to use the trim arm, but we know that the bridge is absolutely set up, dialed in perfectly with the top under tension now. And then we carry on. Okay. Anyway, thanks a bunch. My name is Steve. Thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe. Read the description below for your free resources. Always good stuff going on down there. Play loud, have fun, have a great day. Cheers.